All right. um, this is the fifth and final episode in the miniseries Chernobyl. First, I want to say this is. I'm drawing a blank here. What do I want to say? It's just great storytelling. I know I've probably been saying for two videos that I posted about this miniseries, but probably like the third and fourth episode, I was like, there's no way there's going to be a fourth. And then I'm like, what are they going to do in the fifth? They don't have any more story left. But so instead of them, because they're having a basically they have to point the blame at somebody for some reason. That's always if you worked anywhere. I know the consequences were way steeper, but if you've worked in anywhere, it's always somebody has to get the blame for whatever, and they're doing that in this instance. But the storytellers, they take a chat. They use this opportunity not to bore you to death by keeping you in the courtroom and them telling you they have an opportunity to further illustrate what happened and bring you back in time and show you everything that led up, all events that led up to that, and actually you get a chance to see the explosion. But if you just saw the explosion and be like, whatever, in my opinion, you'd be like, whatever. But you get to see all the events that led up to the explosion, and you get to see all the emotions on the people's faces who are involved in it, and all these different positions inside that power plant. I mean, you're right. It feels like you're right there. But while that's happening, while that story's being told by the three characters that we've been with pretty much the entire series. I should have got their names, but I didn't. I know what they do though. It's the gentleman who's procuring, big word, procuring the boron and the sand and the land and the moon rovers and all that. It's that gentleman. It's the savior to the savior, because you have the initial scientist who's brought in to try to like help out with the situation, and the young lady who comes in to assist him, the savior, right? Come to find out, they revealed at the end of the episode that there wasn't two scientists. There was actually a team of scientists. I call them scientists, but they're experts in the field of nuclear power. There's a team of these people assisting him to try and rectify this issue, and they all, for some reason, they chose to put all those scientists into one woman, which goes to say, behind every good man there's a strong woman. I just had to throw it out there because it's pretty evident. Anyway, so you have the story being told of what's going down, minute by minute before the explosion, and I feel like you were right there with the savior. You're right there with him as he's in the courtroom telling his story, and he's breaking down, he's oversimplifying things as best he can to describe what's happening and why it's happening. And I feel smarter because of him, right? And it's two things I'm going to leave with after watching this series: a fear of graphite, which is in pencil, so I'm only going to use pen from now on, and I think I'm a nuclear scientist now for some reason. I'm just gonna go down there and get a job at one of these nuclear power plants. I don't know why. So that's two things I'm leaving with after watching this series. But anyway, you're going back and forth, but it's not like you're jumping here and there. You're in one story, and the way they structured it, at least for me, I'm like, I want to hear what happened and how it happened, but I also want to see what's going to happen to these characters that I've cultivated a relationship with, of course, through the series so far. I want to see what's going to happen, the finale with them. So I'm just as interested to see both stories unfold, right? And I think that's the hidden genius to it right there. It's keeping it 100% interesting, or having a 360 300. I don't know how to put it to words. Just being 100% interested in the complete story, all parts of it, right? Um, so you're gonna move on, and there's a moment, kind of jumping around here, but I know there's a moment when I should have got the guy's name, but I just keep calling him the savior. He's the head expert on this nuclear on nuclear reactors and things of that nature. Um, Him and the career politician, those guys have like a bro moment, really. Well, a touching moment, I guess, where they take a chance to hype one another up, but it's only done in order to ensure that they're going to do what they need to do, their insurance policies, so they can help each other when they get back in the courtroom. Because when they have this moment together, it's like a 30-minute recess. I mean, and I think this is, if I'm not mistaken, it's not too long after the explosion happened, and a lot of these individuals are like suffering from the effects of the radiation that they've received. So you've got that going on too. That's like it's like the elephant in the room, as far as I'm concerned. You know, they might be in here trying to point the finger at these gentlemen who were running the power plant, which, come to find out, they were at fault for it. I mean, and we're given the ultimate demon, the one guy who needs to have a finger pointed at him. At least that's the way they portrayed him. But you know, you also see the effects of this exposure to this radiation too, which I'm just like, there's a lot going on, you know, and it's a great conclusion. I feel like overall the story's told in such a good way. I mean, you couldn't ask for more. You couldn't ask for a more entertaining miniseries, I don't think. But yeah, so when they do that, he's still tasked with telling the truth, but for some reason they get really political in his way of the savior. Of course, I'm calling him the savior. I should remember the guy's name, but they what was I gonna say? Yeah, he has. I feel like he only has one mission. It's not to help create a case to point a finger or to talk about how poorly they're running their country. It's, hey, we have an issue here, a design flaw that's been duplicated in multiple sites that needs to be addressed, or this issue will happen again. And I think that's the major thing. But he brings that up, but he also tries to break down and take a jab at all these structures, political and in the work environment that exist in Russia, which I'm like, okay, it's a little too much. I mean, because in a situation like this is being told, it's being told in English. It's not really being told from the perspective of the Russian people, so it's kind of like geared towards an American audience, I feel like, or an English-speaking audience. And it's like they're right there on that line trying to. I feel like how much of it is really reality? Because I personally, I don't see how. I just don't see how. What is it? Is it pride? I don't see how pride is stopping these individuals in power from making a decision that could help not alter the inhabitable lands of the earth. Like, to me, that's insane. It's like, how are you just going to let that stop you from, like, altering so many lives? I mean, there's probably close to 1 million people tied up in this thing. Something like that. Well, maybe I'm over exaggerating, but not by much. Probably by like 300 or 400,000 or something like that. Because the number is the one thing that we do know, or that I do know, because I, of course, during the course of watching this, I went back and I went and looked at some documentaries on it just so I could get more information on it, and they really didn't keep, none of these Russian officials, they really didn't keep any logs on how many people were affected by this. Like, seriously? But I say it was a great conclusion to it. The guy winds up, risking everything to bring that issue, the faulty issue, up inside this courtroom, but he loses everything. And they also bring in, which I really love about things that are based on true stories, they bring in, actual photos and videos of people that were depicted in the movie, in the miniseries in this case. They bring in photos and they start telling you what happened to each individual and what's going on with Chernobyl site as of today. And that just brings the story full circle and brings it into and closes it. I mean, it was a great ride. I enjoyed it. Hope that was a good review of it. I mean, not necessarily a review, but a reaction towards it. But I'll never know.